Springs as well.
Okay, good morning, everyone. This is day 2 of our Google Docs learning experience, part of transitioning in Las Vegas from Microsoft Word to Google Docs. We just watched a video, an Anson Alexander video, about creating doc spreadsheets, etc. So today we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. And does anybody have any questions? Mark, you have a question.
You're changing to this because you think down the road it's going to become more popular.
Okay, no. So Mark asked a great question because that brought us back to yesterday. And what we like to do here is review. We like to pick up where we started before and do a little bit of review and then move forward. So yesterday we talked about all of the reasons why we would switch from Microsoft Word to Google Docs. Is Fernando there?
Yes, Ed, and he has a question.
Okay, but before Fernando, you answer the question, ask the question, how about what's one of the reasons we're moving from Google or from Microsoft Word to Docs?
Well, because Docs is pretty much taking over Microsoft.
He can't hear you. You have to come a little closer to the mic.
Can you hear me?
Sort of.
Okay. It seems like Google's pretty much taking over all of Microsoft's programs.
Okay, so that would be one reason. Brian said simple. Jess?
Yeah.
Okay, so for Mark, for you the answer is this. And, for everyone else, but Mark wasn't here yesterday. Google, so here's the comparison. Word, Docs. If Word is a Ferrari, Google Docs is a Toyota. Google Docs is a Toyota. Word is a Ferrari. No. Word is a Ferrari. Google Docs is a Toyota. Enough to get by. It does 95% of what all of our students are ever going to want to do. Okay, it does 100% of the day-to-day. It does 95% of what you're ever going to want to do. It's a lot easier to learn. Would you rather have a Ferrari or a Toyota? Okay, Toyota's practical. A lot of people would like to have a Ferrari, but they can't afford a Ferrari. Maintenance and upkeep is just too much. You have to be a really good driver to have a Ferrari because bad things happen.
If I was a wealthy man, I would buy a Ferrari because...
Okay, we're not talking about Ferraris, but okay, got it. Because you'd buy a Bugatti, a Lamborghini.
A Chevy Silverado.
Oh, okay. All right, so the reason we're switching to Google Docs is there are more features that are more important than in Word. Word is stored on your computer. Google Docs is in the cloud. You can access your doc from anywhere that you have internet access. You can collaborate with people. So yesterday we had a document up here that 20 people were working on simultaneously. It was crazy, right? What would look like on the screen. So that's why we're switching over. There are features in it that Word does not have. It's easier to use than Word. It does mostly what we need to do. And it's going to be easier as a practical matter. It's going to be a lot easier for everyone to master Docs than to pass the Word test. Okay, and we have enough stuff to do in here anyway, and especially here in Nevada, that it's different than the California where they're doing QuickBooks, they're doing medical terminology, they're doing those things. They have a different curriculum than we do. So that's why we do it. Now, Fernando, what is your question?
Hold on, Ed. He's coming to the mic.
Okay.
Okay, I kind of found the answer because he referred to spreadsheet as Excel in the beginning, and then after he called it Microsoft Office, but it's all the same, I think.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So I don't want to focus on spreadsheets here. What do they call it in Google Docs? what do they call their version of Microsoft Excel? And
Spreadsheet.
Google
Spreadsheet.
It was just up there. It was
spreadsheets.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're not doing spreadsheets, but that is the Google version.
Yes.
Okay, so now for today, in the time we have remaining, the important thing is going to be to get your drive set up properly to retrieve documents. Does anybody remember what today's lesson plan said of how many gigabytes of storage you get from Google?
15.
15 gigabytes. That's huge. That's a huge amount of data. I don't even know how many pages that is, but it's 15,000 megabytes.
Yeah, it's like 2,000 videos. It only takes like 5 gigabytes.
Okay, so anyway, so you've got 15,000 megabytes. So there's a lot of storage. If you had 15,000 files, which would be a lot less than a megabyte per file if it was a document, how would you find anything?
You'd have to
Sort through 15,000?
Oh, no, you put it in a folder. Hopefully it comes up.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay.
That's why you
Okay.
title
So-
it as what you
Ed,
Yes.
Maria said search. I said to save the folder, that's fine.
Okay. So again, under the heading of there's more than one thing to do in Google. There's always more than one way to do things in Google. One way is search. But again, imagine you're looking for a document you wrote 3 years ago, and you have 2,000 documents on your hard drive, on your, not hard drive, your Google Drive.
You'd have to have the name or know what you're looking for.
You have to have the title and the date, so when you search it.
Well, but if you don't, where are you going to keep the title and the date? In your mind?
No, on the file that
You're looking for the file. You wrote a letter to somebody 2 years ago. You need to get that letter. How do you find it? You've got 5,000 documents on there. How do you find that document?
Personalized under friends.
And then you just search it. Google
Well, do you think you're going to remember the exact date? 2 years from?
That would help a lot.
Well, but let's keep it real. We're not going to remember a date we wrote something 2 years ago unless it was an important day. Oh, it was the day Robin Williams died. Okay, when was that? Let me do a Google search and find out what day he died.
Just make sure you title it so they will remember.
Okay, so another answer was make sure you title it something you remember. Guys, you're not going to remember the title of a document. If you have 5,000 documents, you are not going to remember 5,000 titles.
What keywords I'm saying? What keywords in your title?
Okay, put keywords in your title. So now you have to remember keywords.
Something easy though.
Okay.
That was the secret.
So,
That's what I do, and it works for me.
okay, so again, there's more than one way to do things. There's the best way, and there's ways that are not as good as the best way. So one of the things that Google lets you do in your drive is you can create folders and subfolders. Okay? So the starting point is to use your drive and to create folders. And what I put in today's lesson plan was you should have three primary folders. What are those folders?
Personal, home, school. I mean, personal, school, and work.
Personal, school, and work. Okay? Start with those 3 folders. Now, every folder can have a subfolder.
Yeah.
So we've got personal,
how do I find all of
Then
that?
go family, friends.
school, and work. So you create these. Now, Otis asked, how do I create a folder? How do we do that?
Find it?
You don't find it, you have to create it.
Go to, you have to have a document to put in the folder.
No.
No, you go to
Okay,
My
so
Drive.
okay, wait. So the first thing to do is Scott said, go to My Drive. So go to your drive.
What is my drive?
It's,
How do you find Drive?
you go to Google Drive.
You go into
That little
any-
triangle.
You go to any app. If you're in any
My
app,
drive. Got it.
now, so you're in My Drive,
Yeah,
right?
right.
How do we create a folder?
Create.
Good, right, right. You click create.
Then I got a folder right here.
And what is the first choice? It says folder.
Right.
So everybody please create these 3 folders. Now, a lot of people should already have them. If you don't have them, create them. Personal, school, and work. So you click create folder, and then you type in person. Okay, and then you click create. And then you do it again. You make sure you're in My Drive.
You don't have to put anything in it. You can just create the folder.
Correct. Just creating the folder.
Instead of folder,
Yes.
and more folder.
When you create a subfolder, like you'll see my folder, personal, do you click that little arrow pointing down?
Okay, so first of all, we're not up to that part
Okay.
yet. Let's just get these 3 folders created.
Personal, school.
So create your 3 folders. Okay, Keanu, do you have your 3 folders? Okay. Kelly, do you have your 3 folders?
Me?
Yeah.
I have personal right now.
Okay, so now create the other 2. Create school and create work.
Ah,
Okay, they're up.
school.
Now, while we're waiting for other people, the people who've done that, drag the files you've already created into those folders. So the only thing you should have on your My Drive is 3 folders.
So you can drag it from this screen.
Correct. So what you do to drag it is you just put your pointer over the file, you left click, you hold the left mouse button down, and you drag it over. See what I'm doing, Mark?
Yes.
You drag it over to the folder that you want it to go into.
Personal. Oh, okay.
Okay? So everybody at this point should have 3 folders, 1 called personal, 1 called school, 1 called work.
But it doesn't, okay, it doesn't show you how many are in there until you click on it.
Instead of work.
Well, what did the thing for today say?
That's what we had on ours is employment planning.
Okay, so read down further on today's.
School.
Okay, now there's
So is that a new one that we should add to ours that already have ours?
You should have these 3 folders here.
How did you say you do that left click and drag it to what? I'm sorry.
I got it.
You put the pointer over it, you hold down the left mouse button, you keep it down, and you just drag it to where you want it to go.
You got it.
Just put it in the folder.
Good, good, Matt. Okay. So now you should have 3 folders, and to answer Joanne's question,
So the employment planning is to keep your stuff in there basically for your search.
okay, the employment plan, okay. So before we had a folder called employment plan. You take that whole folder and you drag it into work.
Yeah, and the folder won't come up until you drag something into it. It won't come up under your My Drive. It says what you got. So if you want to like this, you put nothing in it. No, I'm just saying, it won't be a folder to drag something in.
Well, the folder will say this folder's empty.
Yeah, baby. I got it. I'm renaming mine. I don't think you wanted school you. But I reached the point to where I can rename it, so I'm gonna do that.
So we're
School, personal school,
Okay.
and
So here on my drive, I have employment, personal, school. I have a couple extra.
now if my resume is on my desktop.
That's under personal or work.
No, that would go to work. Okay, so on today's class, and it's very important that you guys read this stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to read what is written that you can look at. Okay, so we've got the 3 folders. Thus, every file you create and/or upload will initially be sorted into one of these 3 folders. So we're answering the question, how can you keep track of 5,000 files 2 years later? Well, so you use deductive reasoning.
Right, you got,
What's deductive reasoning?
well, that breaks it into three.
You go from general to the specific. So I don't think of the specific name of the folder. I think of, okay, the file. Okay, did it have to do with personal, work, or school? Okay. So now, in each of those folders, you'll create subfolders. How do we create a subfolder?
That's what I do.
Okay, you click on the folder you created. So if you click on your personal folder,
Okay.
okay, you click on the personal folder, you go back to create, and you create a folder.
Okay, that's a folder and then a subfolder in that folder.
Yeah, it's just like creating a folder. It is creating a folder, but it's inside of a folder.
Right.
Okay, so now we're going to create the following subfolders: family, friends, records, financial.
These separate.
These are separate folders. So these will all be subfolders in your personal folder. And photos. And photos. So I've written them on the board. So
we open those folders in our personal.
you create them in your personal folder, right? So you have to create these. So if you had dragged any file into your personal folder from your desktop, now you drag it to
Your personal folder.
the personal folder that matches. Is it something having to do with your family or your friends? Is it records?
All right, I got it now.
One thing everybody should do at some point is scan your driver's license, your birth certificate, all of your personal records, copies of your credit cards. In case you lose them, you want to know what your credit card number is? This is in your folder. It's in your drive. Nobody can see this.
Great.
You put them all in a thing called records. You have kids, you put their birth certificates in there, you put copies of their immunization records in there, copies of their report cards, everything, anything you want, you put in these folders. So again, if I'm trying to find a folder, a file that I wrote to one of 5,000 files, it's a letter I wrote to a cousin of mine 3 years ago. Right now I know, okay, it's in a personal folder to a family member. Worst case, I might have 100 files in there.
Yeah.
If I have to scroll through those, it's not going to be the end of the world because I just took 5,000 files and I put them into...
Categorize them and then put it
Right.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Now, so in our school folder, the subfolders in that should be your adversity paper, white paper, papers, recital, Google Apps, TED Talks, TED Talks, typing, and others. Okay, now at this point, every file that is in your drive, under My Drive, should be, that has to do with school, should now be moved to one of those folders. It can't be because you have a catch-all called Other.
Yeah.
Okay, what you don't want to have is a folder called School, and then have a whole bunch of documents in that,
That's what I did.
and have folders.
No, I just have all my documents in my school. But can you make subfolders and then take stuff out of that folder?
So once again, you can drag stuff into different subfolders.
All right, great.
Now,
Are those are folders we should make right there?
yeah. Okay. Now, you can continue to have subfolders of subfolders of subfolders.
Yeah, Word document.
And if you think about on our Friday exams, our quizzes on Friday, we go to one LTCLV, right? Then we go to student class files, right? Then we go to weekly quizzes. That's 3 levels down.
Word quizzes.
Then we go to word
Our
quiz,
check quiz.
and then we go to the week.
Yeah.
So we have 5 layers on
one
Friday,
folder.
5 layers that we have to go to put our quiz answers.
Okay, how to
Yeah.
go back a little bit. School folder. I mean, how do we put the sub? Yeah, but how do we put the subjects?
You make sure
inside
that
the
you're
folder?
in your. You make sure that you are in
Drag them over.
the folder, not you. Okay, so to create the folder, you're in My Drive. How do I know I'm in My Drive? Because it's red highlighted. I click on Employment. Well, let's see, in this one I click on Personal. Now you notice, well, I do have stuff in it, so let me go to this one. There's nothing in there right now. So I go to Create Folders.
Wait a minute, I got it.
Family.
See how you when you put on school, you have folders in the folder and you click on that and you put
Okay.
stuff in there too. It's a subfolder.
Now,
Oh, okay.
under Family, if this was for personal, under Family, I could have separate subfolders for every member of my family, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't have to group everything.
Yeah.
I could have subfolders that say parents,
Oh, school.
brothers and sisters, and a separate folder for my wife, a separate folder for my kids. I can have any number of folders, subfolders inside of subfolders. Okay?
Okay.
Show them how to drag stuff
What's the
in.
second one?
Friends.
Under school.
Oh, white papers.
Oh, white. It's okay.
Okay, California, are you tracking? Can I, jump in anytime?
Yes, we are, Ed.
Okay, looks like Fernanda's helping.
Yes.
And so under work, you have primary categories: pre-employment, resumes,
So May. When I press
and then you have
where do I go to do this again? Oh. Okay. Oh, wait.
and employment.
So go to create.
Employment plan, resume.
Oh, okay.
The third one under school.
Right on, man. I appreciate it, bro.
School,
Work.
What would like a new beginning go under?
What is new beginning? Who said that?
Because I have class like
Uh-huh.
I made these, and then I'm trying to move like these to the drive to TikTok.
Okay, is a new beginning a TED Talk?
No.
Okay, so go back to where you were. School. So what is a new beginning? What do you intend to do?
I don't know.
Is it a diversity paper? What is it? Okay, just close it down. So, okay, so now is your question,
Google that.
What should I move it to? What file should I?
oh, well, well, since we don't even know what the file is, I don't know, I can't help you. I can't tell you, but what you can do is drag them. So here is some of the things now under pre-employment. So in your employment folder, your work folder, there should be 2 subfolders, pre-employment and employment.
And you can put like your resume.
So in your pre-employment, you'd have your employment plan, your resume, anything like that.
Maps where they're at.
Yeah. Okay. In your once you get employed, then you have whatever files you want.
Paycheck stubs, whatever. You know.
Right. Okay. Any other records? If you're doing reports,
Yeah.
you create subfolders in there. Okay, we've got 1 minute. So what we want everybody to do today, and in Las Vegas in the next hour you can do that, take the time in the next hour to make sure your folders are set up properly. Okay. And this should be a logical process of deduction. I need to find a file. I've got 5,000 files. I need to find a file. What folder is it in?
What does that? What does it entail?
Cover. Okay. So is it? You know, it's kind of like that game 20 questions. First question is, you know, sort of like you want to find out is it animal, vegetable, or mineral? Okay. So is it work, personal, or school? Okay. If it's under school, is it this category, that category, or another category? Try to get it so that you are logically going down to figure out where it is. And you don't want to have too many folders on the same level. If you have 20 folders in your My Drive, you might not. That might be too many to be logically be able to figure out where it is.
Yeah, you might as well just keep them all.
So if you start with 3 simple ones, and there's another 3 or 4, and another 3 or 4, and another 3 or 4, you'll logically be able to go through and find and sort and categorize your 5,000 files. Okay, so California, are there any questions?
We're fine over here in Long Beach, Ed.
Thank you, Dennis.
You're welcome.
We're good, Ed.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to end class today, and tomorrow we're going to pick up where we left off. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Bye.
Hey, Santa Fe Springs.
Bye, Dennis.